that easy, then just kick the plug open. Great day again. A little different vibe without the 12s out here, but just stacking days is the message right now. So guys practice a little faster. I think they're getting back to the tempo that we're expecting. But again, day 2 still chasing it, but I think we made some strides.
What's the most obvious carryover from minicamp till now?
The language, expectations, how we operate. All those. So you're trying to keep them as consistent as possible. And so I think the guys appreciate that, and just having a foundation that we've built that we can stand on, so we can move forward.
You haven't been coaching Julian Love very long yet, but what about his game do you like that has you excited about the contract?
I like a lot about his game. Just really excited for him. I think it's a shout out to him and the type of person that he is, type of football player. Definitely the type of guy that we want here, and just excited for him. He's worked his tail off, and hopefully he's found a home here in Seattle for a long time.
What have you already leaned on him to do?
Well, I think it's open communication. I think Julian's a guy that'll shoot you straight and hit you between the eyes on stuff, and you respect that, and has a great perspective on what he's been through, what he expects. Temperature from the locker room can translate some of the messaging, but I'd say that in addition to being a great football player. So we're excited that it's working out and he'll be here.
Draymond Jones was telling us he lost a little bit of weight in the offseason. Have you noticed that out here yet so far at all, or did you see quicker, faster, or anything?
I'd just say he looks like he's in great shape, and he's ready to roll. He's moving great. Can't tell you his weight off the top of my head.
Hey Mike, you're known for your defensive accomplishments. Can you talk a little bit about what you care about on offense now that you're head coach?
Well, I think you go back to the identity of our football team. We want to be physical. We want to dictate terms. We want to be efficient. We want to operate fast for the quarterback and keep it consistent for him. We want to be able to get to a lot of things like elegant simplicity. We're not just going to run inside zone 70 times a game. We're going to try to have answers and really attack what defenses do.
Have you learned anything about Devon Witherspoon in training camp that you didn't already know?
Not yet. Not after 2 days. He's a pretty consistent guy. Same guy every day, which you appreciate.
Mike, it's early, but what could Derek Hall give you off the edge?
D Hall. I think what we've seen, the best what D Hall does, it's hard to tell in this tempo. But a physical presence, but a guy that has some drop ability as well. So you can use him in different blitz packages, and very sharp. Move him up and down the line. Excited to feel him out there when we have pads on. Especially when we're going against other teams.
Where'd you get elegant simplicity?
That's been around for a minute, but I think it paints a pretty good picture about what we're trying to create.
You mentioned dictating terms offensively, which I'm sure everyone wants to do, but I'm curious, how do you become an offense in a team that can kind of enforce your will that way?
Well, first comes with a mindset and how you want to play, and everyone deciding that the style of how you're going to play. Which some of those things that we're talking about, that's our language that we're gonna speak in house. But you talk about schematically having answers and being able to identify certain things, what the defense is doing, and being able to get to those things simply and consistently. So you're not just chasing your tail. And then also, there's going to be plenty of times where you're going to want to run your bread and butter stuff and be able to do that against every defensive look they can give you. So defenses aren't making you get in and out of stuff based off of what they show, and you're really flipping the page on them in those terms.
DK, JSN, and Tyler get all the attention, but Laviska Shenault was the big addition to receiver this offseason. What have you seen from him up to this point, and how do you see his skill set complementing those other 3 receivers that you have there?
Well, with this, his physicality is the first thing that I think of. Catch and run, runs after catch, being able to block at the point of attack, flexibility in special teams in the return game is what we're expecting out of him. And then his role on offense is really up to him. If he can consistently execute at a high level, then it's really the sky's the limit on what he wants to do. But he's got to go show that on a day-to-day basis.
Have you got much PJ Walker? I know he signed really late in minicamp or whatever, but just what have you got a sense of him from?
Yeah, again, I think he backs up what you think about when you think about PJ in terms of a pro. He's got some lower body power, man. He can really deliver the football, and he plays smooth. I think you've seen how he's operated as improved over the last 3 days or so. Just because in mini camp he wasn't able to get any reps. So, but you see the curve, right now.
Hey Mike, this is Ryan Grubb's first training camp, and it's pretty normal to have hiccups, but there's been really clean operation. Can you talk about how you feel like the offense is executing early in camp?
I think it's indicative of the rest of the team, but when we talk about Grubb, it's poise, it's clarity in what he expects and what he's looking for with his coaches, and I think the players appreciate that. And we're going to add stressors in practice as we go, and that's for myself included as a head coach. Talking about situations, him identifying situations and getting it called on time. So so far so good, but we're pretty vanilla at this point.
Mike, it seems like there's a ton of communication pre-snap among the defense. What is it about the scheme that requires that?
Well, we want to be a loud defense, and I haven't heard a lot of good defenses in this league that don't say anything. So we talk about having obnoxious communication and just calling everything we see, and you just never know what you're going to say is going to click in a guy that you're playing with to let them play faster. And we talk about pre-snap alerts, post-snap alerts, signing and co-signing. But if you have a team that's playing on one accord, that's a powerful thing.
How do you get guys to be more communicative in that way? Is it just like, hey, you're a pro football player, if you want to play, you want to talk, or is there something else that you do to kind of bring?
Yeah, that's a great question. People say, hey, you got to communicate. Well, as coaches, we have to teach them how to communicate and what to say, what they're looking for, what are the words, make it clear, have some elegant simplicity behind it. And that's something you're always going to chase. As the offensive install starts to build over time, then they're going to give us some more things that we're going to have to respond to, and which is great practice. And every team operates in their own way throughout the league. So being able to anticipate those things and have confidence in the scheme and what they're supposed to do and the expectations, and I think you start to hear it on the field.
You mentioned that being coach-led, but you also talked about this a few weeks ago when we were here for OTAs, Devon Witherspoon and some of the other players out there, the way that they are vocal. And how much does that play into this, where you guys have to pass, hey, this is what we're looking for, and then a handful of players have to be the ones that really take that torch and pass on to everybody?
Yeah, it's a great point. You have to have the right type of guys. The guys that love to talk have a lot of confidence. A lot of times that's correlated to guys loving football and just having passion for what they do and calling things out. And you appreciate that, man. They're just chasing it, and it's fun. Like you want to be able to create a defense where you can close your eyes as a coach and you can envision the play happening based off of how we communicate. So that's what we're chasing.
You guys are pretty young on the offensive line in a lot of spots. What is, when you have that youth, what is having a veteran like do for the line?
Well, I think it can give them poise and some wisdom on some things that are going on and stay in the moment on some things so things don't get out of control. So I think, I'm assuming you're referring to Lakin because he's talking, but he's done a great job of that. He's just a pro. He's steady. And we're just, again, tough to tell right now on where our offensive line is at without the pads on, but we're excited to see what he brings to the unit.
Can you imagine playing that position for 9 years and only missing, I think, one game and just a handful of snaps over the last 3 years?
No, I can't. It's impressive. I mean, there's not many that have done it, and so it's a shout out to him.
You mentioned the communication. Like, who do you feel like are your most natural communicators? Just stepping in, that you saw that right away. That okay, these guys know how to be clear and decisive in their communication.
Well, I think Coach Howard and Carl Scott have done a great job with the DBs. We put a lot on the safety's plate, so I'd say the safety unit right now is kind of carrying the torch, as expected. That's pretty consistent for most schemes.
Mike, you got your first time off in the Northwest a few weeks ago. Did you do anything fun? Any impressions of Seattle?
Yeah, it was awesome. We went to Poo Poo Point a couple times, which there's a joke that 12-year-old me named that place, but no, it's been. I mean, we've just been on Lake Washington a couple times. Got out of state and kind of got away for a minute, but I mean, you can't beat this weather and the beauty, and you could take a different hike once a day and just find a new place for, I don't know, into eternity. So we're blessed to have that opportunity.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right, thanks guys.